So recently we've done videos on the modern versus old school on the pivot and the release, and due to all of the comments that have come through, decided to do one on the leg action, which kind of helps fit it all together. And you can see how the release is dictated by the leg action and how the leg action fits in with the pivot. And this is sort of like creating a bit more of a picture about what the old school and the modern two golf swings look like. Now, there's not one set way, but why not have a look at what bits you need to apply to each action to help it work for you. So guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. What we're here to do is to help you improve your game. So this channel is about creating content to help you lower your scores. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. And that way you don't miss any of the content. Also hit the bell icon, that way you get the notifications coming your way. Normally I always ask, is there something that you guys would like covering? I'm going to put this right here at the start. So if there is something in particular you'd like covering as a topic that you find that people have got either you hear conflicting information about or that you're really struggling with, comment below and I'll endeavour to make sure we cover this for you in the future. On to today's video, we are talking about leg action and we're talking about the classic older type golf swing and we're talking about the modern golf swings. We're talking about two different types of leg actions. So what are these two types of leg actions? So first of all, let's just categorize what these two are and then have a look at the pros and cons of both. So first of all, talk about the older way of swinging a club was a little bit looser in the legs, okay? A bit more movement from one foot to another. So covered this in the old school pivot. So if you haven't seen that, jump back and have a look at it. So that will help you understand what the pivot is doing. But when you've gone over, what you tend to see with a lot of the players is that they would then drive the knees more forwards, which then fits into what release type they'd need. So they would need more handsy release because the upper body is more back, the right shoulder is more behind, and then the hands would tend to cross over a bit more. We have a look at the more modern golf swing. What we'd see is that there's more coil happening in the backswing, but then from here, we'd see that there's more load going down and through the floor. So you see that squat move. And then from there, it's a big rotation through the ball, which means that through the golf ball, there needs to be less hand action because the club face is going to be quieter. Now, first bit, let's have a look at what that leg action and the leg drive actually means. So when you've got the leg drive coming through, so from this top of the backswing here, and the legs drive forwards, what this does is creates quite a large secondary axis tilt. What this means is that the spine angle is increased in this direction. So from here at address, when you drive, you tend to see that players are a little bit more underneath it. So what this does is it shuts the shoulders down a little bit too much, leaves the right shoulder back near the right foot, and then the hands have to work a lot more through the ball in order to try and square the face. Now, this can be a powerful movement. We've seen it, you know, that back in the sort of era of when we saw Watson, Nicklaus, Weiskopf, you know, you saw a lot of leg action from those guys that they drive with the legs, saw a bit of hands and then they'd all come through. But we saw a bit more of a reverse C type finish. So this isn't necessarily great for the back, but I'm not actually coming here from an injury prevention standpoint, but you just hear people that it isn't great from the back driving through like this. But the thing that we do see a bit of is that when the knees are still bending here, there's quite a lot of force going through the outer knee, and therefore, because the upper body's back, the hands do have to work more. So we don't tend to get posted up with the legs until right at the end of the follow through. So a lot of knee drive on the go is going to predominantly want you to be a bit more into out, and it does lead to a little bit more flippy with the hands, maybe a touch less compression. So it's a bit more timing based into it, but we've seen lots and lots of players over the years make it work, and it is a great way to play, but it's not what we're seeing a lot of the modern guys doing. What we're tending to see players do these days is that as they're rotating, so they load into the floor properly going back, then from here, what they do is the left knee re-rotates and there is separation in the legs. We're not talking this, but there is a little bit of separation here. And both thighs have got pressure and there's weight pushing into the floor. So as I'm pushing into the floor, it's from here that the body can then begin to rotate. And what's happening is the left leg can then begin to straighten as the body is rotating around. So what we're doing is the modern swing is seeing that they load, so they create energy, then they store it for as long as possible in transition, and then through the ball and explode that energy, and that's all coming from that lower body. Now the key is that what they're doing is, in that storing phase, they're not in a rush to get over the left side, they're slowly getting there. So from that top here, we slowly move across, feel that both thighs are engaged, feel a lot of pressure and power in the glutes, and then from here, that left shoulder, left leg, left hip starts to work up, the right side's down, and then that's where that power's coming from. And as they're pushing back out the floor, that's why you're often seeing some of the modern guys almost jumping with the feet, because that's what's happening is once that load's coming back from the floor, or they're almost tearing the grass up like this as the feet are moving about and creating so much power through that floor. So the key is making sure that once they've created it, they store it for as long as possible and then really use that athleticism through the ball. So that's why we're seeing these guys doing things like box jumps and what have you, because if we think about it, okay, if we just did this very simple analogy here, if I slide my knees, okay, this way, there's a transition of the older style golf, and I simply just try and rotate as a jump in this direction here, we can see that this is about as far as I can go now. So I can go 180, but I can't go much more because there's not enough coming out the floor. If I make a normal golf swing now, or modern one should I say, and then really feel the thighs are engaged and I'm really in the floor here. Now from there, if I create this torque which I can feel in my body, and now from there do the same rotation, you can see that's 360 degrees a turn, so that's where that power is coming from. This is why we're seeing the guys doing it in the gym, and this is where that power and everything's going to come from. Let's give it a little go. What I'm going to try and do is hit the ball, do the feeling of loading that backswing, get the feeling of a bit of separation in the transition, and then really try and unwind that body through the ball. So from here, just get that feeling, solid leg, loading that pelvis, and then really, really separating and unwinding. So I really felt that left knee start to move there in that transition. That really accelerated my body quite quickly. Felt quite a lot of club head speed there. It's key that you understand how those legs will work, how you create that separation, and then how that will apply into rotational speed, which can then deliver club head speed. I can say there's two ways of doing it, guys. It's not just doing it one way. Find the way that's going to work for you. If you've always played with leg drive and always been underneath it and always use your hands, then just adapting that a little bit can be really good for you. But if you want to learn what the modern guys are doing, this is why they're hitting it so far, because they're able to use the athleticism from the body, use the floor, and then create more club head speed. Hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you have done. Thanks for watching, and talk with you again soon.